can't believe I made it. I have been thinking about this day for over a week now. Interesting. Here we are. Welcome to Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace. Good evening. Happy Moon Day. It is already Gemini season. I failed you in discussing that last week as the sun transitioned into Gemini on the 21st, I believe, on the 20th. And it's already the 27th and May is almost gone. Can you believe it? Welcome. I am so grateful to be back into my home, my routine. I traveled the weekend before last Moon Day, got home on Moon Day, absolutely knew I couldn't host this conversation on Moon Day. Thought about it, even told you I would do it Tuesday, and I was still a recovering individual from the weekend that I had. My child got ill and it was just a stressful weekend. So we didn't make it until today, but I'm so grateful to be here tonight. It is Moon Day, May 27th. Welcome again to Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace. My name is Graciela Moore. I am an ICF certified personal coach. That means personal coach certified through an accredited institution by the International Coaching Federation. And I love moon. I love the moon. I love astrology, but really, it's always been about the moon, for me, at least. This island girl does love the sun and got to spend some time in the sun last weekend, and that was wonderful. But the moon interested me even more once I became a certified coach because of what it symbolizes, signifies, or what it shows us, if you will. There's so many ways to go about this conversation. I guess it really depends on who's listening. But the moon essentially is all of our emotional well-being or just emotions in general. And there's two sides to our life, right? There's what's going on, and there is the reality of things. And then there's also how we feel about the things that are happening around us, happening through us, happening to us, happening for us. And so when it comes to my coaching, when it comes to my life, when it comes to my surroundings, I want clarity. I seek emotional stability so that we can get level-headed and just strategize, think about the next step. This is what I coach, and a lot of my conversations are about this. So here we are. And Moon Day is the perfect day to ponder all sorts of things because it is about our emotional wellness. So Moon Day, I love to pause and, they say that Sunday is the day for rest or Sunday is the day of rest, right? Or people may actually take Sunday off, right? And so if I'm not meant to put that much thought, that much strategic thinking into my day of rest, well, then let's do it the next day. Let's powwow. And this is what I've seen with moon days for a very long time. I'm talking being in college and Monday being the best day. By Friday, I'm sick of it. And then I get the weekend to recharge. So that's how it was in school. And that's how it is now. Not really sick of my life, but by Friday, you're kind of tired from the week, right? And that's what the weekend is for. So here we are. It's Moon Day. The moon is in Capricorn, but most importantly, we're coming out of the full moon in Sagittarius. How was that for you? Cece texted and said, she texted the next day and said, things are kind of off today. What's happening? Well, the next day after a full moon is still that full moon vibe, and if not, a hangover from the energetic pull from the full moon on the 23rd, the day before. And so Sagittarius is that fire sign that wants to be focused or that seeks to be focused on that goal. It's the archer. And so the really you're the archer. You're the one holding, right? The archer and I mean the bow and the arrow. So as the archer, you have to aim where that arrow is going. And we've talked a lot about how a moon in Sagittarius can make us be kind of more snappy or have a pep in our step. But it's been my experience that the way you tune into these moons or into these frequencies or into these ideas is through your action. Because if you think about it, the moon in Sagittarius may roll by, but if you haven't thought about what your goal is, if you haven't pondered up until now, even the furthest thing from a strategy for that goal, then this is how we miss on opportunities. This is how we miss on some of these transits that are benefic, if you want to call it that. I guess that's the astrology term, right? There's transits or combinations that are, when I say combinations, I mean, the sextile, the conjunction, the square, all of these different transits. And some of them are for your benefit, and some of them are considered malefic. That's the term. And even the malefic ones, they're not there to, disturb the peace just for kicks, right? They're there for a reason. And, you know, I'm saying all of these things, and I cannot continue without pointing out some of the things that we have witnessed today in the news and what's going on. And it's a lot. And comparing, even when you're not trying to, some of the things that we are experiencing and awakening to and pondering for our lives and planning and taking action on and really trying to tune into, I have to just pause and really extend my heart and hold so much love amidst all of the confusion and anger that I think we feel, while at the same time holding on to immense gratitude for all of this, for you, and hold on to just every single blessing. And on our end, there's been a lot of changes that we have anticipated and, just known and seen for a long time. But it's not the same to aim at the goal and to find yourself on that spot. Those are two very different things. And so we're going through this just transitional liminal space of changes and a lot of action that seems kind of like never ending because it's that much. But of course, I know that every step counts, and I know that every little thing we end up doing at the end of the day is bringing us one step closer to the goal. And so I feel like I'm babbling, but the moon in Sagittarius, I feel like, was primed to illuminate some of the things that we have been planning and talking about in previous weeks, because it's time to take that action. As the sun moved from Taurus, think about slow paced, think about grounding some of the ideas that Aries inspired, but at the same time, prioritizing, and Saturn in Pisces still bringing about some of the should that sometimes makes us pause and not really take action, right? So now that the sun has transitioned into Gemini, an air sign that's all about communicating and community and family and friendship and lightheartedness and cutesy. Those are some of the things that come to mind with Gemini just right now. We are bound to really put into words some of the things that we've been planning and some of the things that we've been pondering as we have journaled this whole time since the wheel of the year started. And for some, that's January 1st. And for some, it's the spring equinox, right? Aries season. So let's look at the questions for the full moon. I did journal. I haven't painted my little design, but I have kept up with the painting for the previous moon, the new moon in Taurus from this month, and my little wisteria. Love wisteria, and I'm hoping to plant some when we land where we are going. So, question for the full moon, and then we will transition into the actual moon day. Hello, Ron Perry. I'm so glad that you are here after I played hooky last week because I was exhausted from a trip. I'm so glad and happy that you're here. So, full moon questions real quick. Think about a recent instance where your emotions burst forth. So when did you become emotional and had like an outburst in public or by yourself? Even if you were quiet about it, just think about a time that your emotions burst forth. How did it feel to express your feelings in that moment? What did you learn from that experience, and how might you use that insight moving forward? It seems kind of silly to ask these questions, in my opinion, but at the same time, these are some of the questions that I ask my child and that I try to bring into the awareness of dealing with a special needs 5-year-old. But it's funny that I'm bringing them up to him, but nobody's ever brought them up to me aside from really my coach or just myself, right? Writing and doing all these things. But when it came time to answer this question for myself, the one thing that I wrote down that I learned from that experience is that it wasn't as uncomfortable as I would expect it to be, considering that I grew up in a place where I couldn't really show my emotions, right? I couldn't really express myself. So now that I am practicing how to do that, it's interesting to note how I felt in my body while I was doing that, and to look back and say that was a good cry, for example, or that felt really good after a loud scream release, right? We've talked about how in neuroscience and just in brain talks or science, I guess, it's considered a full brain reset to scream into a pillow. It is a full, and I've experienced it, how visceral it felt all over the release. After I screamed, I just got goosebumps, and it just felt like there was still energy coming out of me after I had already quieted that scream. So, what did you learn from the experience, and how might you use that insight moving forward? I mean, moving forward, I would say that I would try not to wait that long to express something that just feels tight and dense and that needs to come out. This is something that Howard Falco also discusses in his book, I Am. And I'm remembering these things as I can't show you books because they're packed in boxes. That's so nice. But he talks in this book, I Am, about how every emotion just needs to come out. And we see this, right, in children and in how they're not afraid to throw a tantrum and to really express that there's discomfort, confusion, sadness, even excitement, right? So, like growing up, to mix emotions like crying when I was happy was kind of confusing, and it really didn't happen until I became a mother, and then I could cry at any commercial. That was an interesting thing to witness, tearing up at any little tender thing after I became a mom. Before that, it was like I'm in public, so I can't cry. Like I need to be in private to cry. Like, you know what? I don't care anymore. So these are the things that I'm looking forward to us discovering as we answer these questions. Question number 2. Ooh, this one I was discussing with Mr. Moore because of the kind of work that he is doing. Consider the balance between logic, cold, hard facts, right? And intuition. Here, 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 the 4 brains, right? That Poppy taught us about. The brain, the heart, the gut, and the whole body, right? And how those communicate and how we interpret that, and how Mercury also plays a part, and the Sun and Gemini also play a part. And so this is what becomes so interesting. Consider the balance between logic and intuition in your decision-making process. What are some decisions that you've made so far in the last month that you can think of in order to do this exercise? Are there situations where you've leaned too heavily on one at the expense of the other? So have you had any situation recently where you decided to take the logical path and not the intuition path, or vice versa, and then realize that you should have done the other? So what how can you find equilibrium between these two? How can you I said mental energies, interesting. I apologize for that. I feel like I wrote mental energies and probably made a mental note to come back to it and choose energies probably, or just something else, because the word mental just doesn't feel right. And I apologize. I did write this last year. But anyway, how can you find just a balance between the two? There has to be a balance, because if you think about it, if there is logic and there is intuition, then the balance is right here where you are. So how can you strike a balance, either by really sticking to the decision and not regretting the outcome? That could be a balance. Or choosing different. I feel like when it comes to logic versus intuition and having to really follow intuition, because it's proven effective, let's just use this example, then it becomes an experiment in terms of how are you going to know that what you're thinking and feeling and observing is your intuition, as opposed to your obsessive, hyper focused research that you call logic. So then it becomes a question of, well, how do you feel in your body in the moments that you get insight that you would consider intuition? How do you identify it? Is it a flutter in your heart or in your stomach? Is it just a certainty? Is it a physical thing, like a ringing in your ears, or a flash next to you that then prompts the thought? Like, when it comes to intuition, the conversation can just go and go and go. So let's not do that. But that's the question. Now, the affirmation for the full moon in Sagittarius was, I embrace the balance of my lower and higher minds. I trust my intuition and expand my knowledge with a sense of adventure, with curiosity, allowing for a broader, more meaningful understanding of the world. And the world is not just the whole world and what's happening, and why and who is funding it and how horrific it is, but also the micro, your world, your current situation, the things that we've been unraveling since we started this journey. And now some of those things are coming to fruition. Loose ends are getting tied, maybe in this chapter of your life, and things are getting packed in boxes. And pretty soon, my background is going to be blank. I don't know. I might put a tapestry because I just can't imagine doing this with a blank wall behind me. But at the same time, that's like such first world problems and so not like in tune, right? So it's not important. So blessed to be here. Let's talk about the week ahead. Yay, finally. Now, we're starting with the waning gibbous. Let's read from Moon Magic by Aurora Kane. This was a Christmas present and I love it. It's colorful and it's so beautiful. And she says, we've talked about how the waning gibbous is the opportunity to work on what the full moon illuminated. So it's the 27th today. That means the full moon was 4 days ago. All of the insight that's happening or coming through, any ideas or downloads, that's the word. Sorry, I was looking for that word. Downloads that you may be thinking about in the last few days are not just obviously influenced by the astrology of last week, which we're not going to talk about because it's obsolete. We're talking about this week. But really any type of release or shadow work or pondering that needs to be done in order to take care of it would be done during the waning gibbous. And Aurora Kane agrees. Assess what went well and what went wrong and share your story. You can ask for help, be receptive to feedback and change, embrace the opportunity that lie ahead. This is also the time to dissolve unproductive relationships or recharge, nurture existing relationships. An affirmation is I am happy yet open to change. And that is so interesting with a waning gibbous in Capricorn, because Capricorn is the traditionalist. Capricorn likes things just so. It's ruled by Saturn. It's all about boundaries and, everything just so. I mean, Ron in the room can probably correct me if I'm wrong or let me know that I'm right on point with those descriptions. But the waning aspect of the moon right now, leading into next week's new moon, is really what invites you to ponder change, because you have to release of what didn't work. So what an example of that could be, we reached the point that we can't keep procrastinating on our plans moving forward. So I have to release whatever insecurity, whatever fight or flight was keeping me from it. I have to release whatever analysis paralysis was keeping me from it. I would have to release whatever doubt and make room for faith and make room for optimism, which is very Sagittarius. Make room for hope that things will be okay, that everything will work out, that we're on the right path, so on and so forth. And so every single time there's a waning moon after the full moon, it's the opportunity to really think about, what did the moon illuminate and what is it telling me about my life? How can that help? Or is it not helpful? Well, then I'm going to release that if it's not helpful, right? And so that's what this moon is about in Capricorn. And Jupiter has transitioned from Taurus to Gemini. So a lot of this expansion and a lot of these ideas will now be more of a communication type of thing, because Gemini is all about communicating and the sun is in Gemini as well. So an affirmation for today: I embrace the power of balance and communication. I welcome the opportunities to connect with others fostering understanding and harmony in my interactions, right? And considering that Aurora Kane tells us to release expired relationships, it's important to affirm that you're fostering understanding and harmony with others. So that's great. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday, we have the moon in Aquarius. So the moon is going to be hanging out with Pluto in Aquarius, which means with the sun in Gemini. So here we have the Aquarius and Gemini. And this right here is a challenging aspect. So the energy just might not be that pleasant when the sun illuminates everything that Gemini would like to communicate and do and is super excited about, while the moon is hanging out in Aquarius, connecting emotionally to the transformation that Pluto is kind of pushing down our throats. And that is coming, I feel like, in just more ways than rites of passage or things happening on our physical nucleus home, right? Physical realm, but also in what we are consuming through social media about what's happening in the world and how that is changing us forever, right? So there's a lot going on. By Thursday, the moon will be in Pisces, hanging out with Saturn in Pisces. And it's also the last quarter moon, which is that bookend, if you will, that I've talked about, or highlight or marker for some of these thoughts to kind of start taking shape. But Pisces with Saturn in it, and then the moon going through Pisces, I feel like it might also be a question of seeking how to practice our self-love in order that we feel or amp up our self-worth practices and just energies, because we are so blessed, and it's hard to feel worthy sometimes when you compare everything that you have and what's going on, right? And then Friday, Mercury, well, the moon will still be in Pisces, and Mercury will be over Uranus in where is it? I forgot. I didn't write it down, but the point of Friday, I'm hoping, is that we have an aha moment. It seems to be one of those days that are primed for us to have an epiphany or for something to make sense. And I like to bring these things up because when we anticipate an aha moment, or sometimes when we look at the astrology and say, oh my gosh, that Kissimmee sounds like it's going to be miraculous and just like what I was hoping, because I'm really done with all of this and I'm ready for some change. But then the transit happens and you really just, I don't know, something became clear that wasn't clear the day before. And then now it's clear. So it's like, huh, so that's what that happened. Okay, great. Moving on. Like, it's all of these things are very subtle because our soul doesn't move as fast or as strongly as our body or as our technology is making us think that we actually move. We are meant to move a lot slower. And so our soul and all of this planetary movement happens as seamlessly that we don't even see it, right? Also, there's distance, but you know what I mean? We don't really feel like we're moving because we have gravity and all of that. But all of that to say, the aha moment that is kind of promised in the sky for this Friday may just be something really simple. So don't come at me if you don't get like a billboard sign that says, hey, you're awesome. In case you didn't know, now it's for sure. But you are, right? Neptune is also going to be hanging out in Pisces that day. And so that aha moment might be a blur and you may not remember it. So think about those things as well. Hydrate. Don't really go into substances that may further blur your vision and your senses if you're really hoping for a spiritual download. And really be on the ground, be with your eyes open and with your hands busy, and be creative and curious, and hopefully there's a connection. And then we have the weekend with the moon in Aries. So by next week it will be June. I can't believe it, because Saturday it's June 1st and it's already like summer officially. Well, no, not officially, right? The summer solstice is not until the 20th, but it definitely is as hot as summer. And yeah, there's a lot happening. So Saturday we have an exact conjunction, which is a benefic transit, if you want to call it that. It's all good. It means joining forces, joining energies. Venus and the sun both in Gemini. So what does that mean? Venus, it's not just about love and relationships and eating grapes and being fanned by, I don't know, whoever you want to fan you. It's also about what you value and how what is happening in your life currently, or the things that you are witnessing, how those things are changing and transforming your values and changing and transforming Pluto in Aquarius, your life up until now. And somehow you're being you're in the precipice of changing things, Pluto in Aquarius, of breaking, the patterns of your whole family, Pluto in Aquarius. All of that is a lot, right? And so the sun in Gemini will want to communicate those values and those thoughts that Venus will bring to the table as of next Saturday. So think about that this week. Narrow down what is it that you really value, and how you can best communicate that if it comes to that. Now, it could be you bringing up the conversation, or it could be someone else in your life, or it could come up in some commentary on social media. We sometimes jump at the thought of sharing our point of view. Well, maybe you value self-expression or freedom of speech. Maybe you value the topic of the comment, right? You hold it in high regard, so you have to comment. And so these are the things, these are the clues to figuring out, who am I in this time of my life? Because I can assure you, you're not the same person you were, I don't know, 2 years ago. I'm not the same person I was last week. Last week I was exhausted and I didn't want to host this because I was really, really tired from a long weekend. This week, here we are. Let's go into our meditation, everybody. I don't have my bell. Where's my bell? The bell of the ball is not here, but we're going to do this anyway. Music for this meditation is brought to you by Brain FM. Thank you again for being here, Ron. You can focus, relax, sleep, or meditate. We're going to meditate. We're going to do unguided for a few minutes. So sit back and relax. Some chimes and bowls. Let's do some breathing for just a few minutes before we retire to enjoy our many blessings. Taking in this moment of peace and gratitude. And so much love. With me, take a deep breath through the nose. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale nice and slow through your mouth. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and inhale once more through your nose. Nice deep breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale nice and slow through your mouth. And as you settle into that exhale, relax your shoulders, relax your hips, relax your knees, relax your feet. And as you feel and observe your slow, gentle breathing, think about embracing the power of balance and communication. Think about the opportunities that you might have to connect with others and how you can foster understanding and harmony in those interactions. With me, take a deep breath in through your nose. Nice and long, deep breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale nice and slow through your mouth. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again through your nose. Nice, long, deep breath. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. And as you relax into this exhale, remember, I am loved. I am blessed. I am guided. I am protected. And as you relax into this moment, slowly bring your awareness to your body. Wiggle your toes and open your eyes. And come back to me. Ding, 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 ding. Thank you for hanging out, for participating, for saying hi in the comments, for checking in on me last week if you did. I'm so grateful for Ron. You're very welcome, and we need to catch up, so let's do so. And I will see you all next Moon Day. Bye, everybody.